the whole industry has kind of changed. Back in the day, artists would create the music, they would look to record labels to sort of handle the business. And if you speak to a lot of big artists, if you see a lot of documentaries, videos, you'll kind of realize that that system was not the best system, because artists, despite being a huge success at one point, was still owing money to the record labels. And that's because the business model was very different back then. Often even artists did songs and creative things to sort of benefit the label's vision of what the artist should be. And that wasn't always, I think, an ideal situation. I think now the artists have way more control. Yes, they have to work on a lot more than being just a musician and just being creative. They have to get behind their own marketing campaigns, PR campaigns. And I think that is actually a good thing, and I don't think in any way it will hamper any creativity. In fact, it will sort of make you a little more creative, I think, because you have to think outside the box. And I guess in the evolution of an artist, they will reach a point where at some point when they are actually generating enough revenue through their sales or whatever they have managed to create, there will be professionals who will step in and take that to the next level.
Yeah, I believe actually that it's more or less a rhetorical question. When it comes to creativity, I think a record label exploits that. That's what I feel. As a musician, I don't think anyone should be allowed to enter your creative process. Your job is to make music. And as Demonstealer rightly said, that all the other things are secondary. Right now I do understand it's difficult for the same artist to be a musician, an artist, then again PR, social media and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just like the willingness and probably how much can you do on your own. So like here, he's an example, I am, and on how much can we do on our own independently. I think if you never give up, then the question will never really arise.
The internet sort of gives you the illusion of entitlement. I think many times people believe that social media is supposed to work for you or it owes you something. The new YouTube monetization, it's not the best move on YouTube's part because it has made a lot of people unhappy, and it comes as a result of YouTube being a little too lenient and lax when it started as a platform, letting anyone and everyone monetize their work. Obviously, last year the backlash that happened with advertisers not wanting to have their products placed before channels that are promoting hate speech or racism led to the current situation. Same way with Facebook trying to compete with YouTube. They have their own video which they promote, so they kill the reach of YouTube links. And I think something artists have to actually learn to get used to. It's the evolution of social media. Just like with the evolution of musical instruments, you have to kind of update your techniques and your knowledge. You kind of with social media have to do the same, and you have to treat it in the same manner. With every aspect of being in a band, like the way you managed a band 15 years ago versus the way you manage a band now, the way you booked shows 15 years ago versus the way you book them now, everything evolves. And like I said, unfortunately the music industry has changed to the point where the artist has to be involved in all aspects of being in a band. And if you actually think about it, it's not like this is very different from way back in the day. It's just that back in the day you would print flyers for your show, you would personally call up friends and say, hey, come for my gig, or you would go to a local music store and try and put up a poster. Now everything has become much easier, and it's also become in the same time more crowded, which means where some things have gotten easier, like recording yourself at home, putting it up for download in one click, those things have all become easier, whereas back in the day you had to save lots of money, go to a big studio, etc. etc.
The internet actually is a boon as well as a curse. It depends on how you want to perceive it. As he rightly said, even we come from a time when there was no internet actually. It was face-to-face communication and offline events more than online. But right now everything is online, so you have to adapt to a situation. I think everything evolves, as he said. Change is the only thing that's constant. Ideally, the reason why I stated that was because when we started off rapping in English, alright, And during that time, we really were not making a lot of sense, because it was like, an imitation or an interpretation of our favorite rappers. Of what they do is the same way what we used to do. Eventually, what we realized is, these commercial guys are the ones that is making a lot of money, and no one is really rapping in English. And why is it happening? Then we realized that, it's the game out here is regional. If I want to reach out to people, they will understand the regional or the local language more than English or any other language. So that's why I was stressing on that fact. And besides that, you can also express your emotions better. If if you talk in your mother tongue compared to your second language, you will be more familiar, and you'll be more skilled when it comes to that. So it's only because of that.
My background is a little different. I sing in English because English is the language I actually speak. And I think essentially what he's saying is what you are comfortable singing or speaking is what you should be doing. Like if you think in Hindi or if you think in Marathi, if you're talking to all your friends in Hindi, Marathi, if that is your language of choice when you're speaking, why would you sing in a different language and try and imitate somebody else? I grew up in a house where I don't really speak my mother tongue, which is Sindhi. I spoke Hindi never. I was in an English school. So for me, it would be like trying to imitate somebody by speaking or singing in Hindi, If I sung in Hindi, it would be like I did with my comedy rock band workshop, where it was almost a parody of my awful Hindi. That was the purpose of it. But if I want to express something, I find English to be my way of sort of saying it, because I speak better English than any other language. And I always encourage young metal bands that if you're more comfortable in any other language, don't force yourself to sing in English because you may think it's cool, or the metal crowd will not like it because it's Hindi or something like that. It's about expressing yourself at the end of the day, and whatever you are comfortable speaking in, that should be the way you express yourself. So that I think is not a controversial, but it is a point of much debate and discussion. My 2 cents is that if you are a new band and you are not going to be able to get even 5 people to come and see you and pay for a ticket, how can you expect to be paid? It's very simple. You start out, nobody really knows who you are. You play as many shows as you possibly can. You play even free gigs. When you reach a point where you know that, okay, even 10, 20 people are going to come and pay a certain amount of money to watch me and buy a ticket, then you can command that price. I think that is what every artist does. You play for free till you reach a point where you are bringing value to the table. If you have reached that point, then there's no need for you to play any more free shows.
See, absolutely. As I said, it depends on perception. As he stressed on the previous slide, there's something called as PR. So a free show is not really free. It might do wonders for you when it comes to PR or content. You can simply record a video or shoot like a audio and put it up on YouTube out there. So I don't think it's free. It just depends on your perception. How you want to build up your brand. So a show, a show or a free show, now again, it will build up or add to your brand and your resume. It will increase your value. Plus, you will be able to perform better the next time if you perform right now. So if you keep on waiting for, a paid show to come, you might probably not get a show. You might not, enhance your skills on stage. So, I think a performance is a performance. It really does not matter. It depends on the artist. See, ideally, first we were actually, thriving or striving just to get known. We wanted people to know that, there is a scene out here in India and we are actually rapping. And what happened is, all of a sudden, your commercial rappers and your mainstream rappers popped into the picture, labeled labeled pop as rap, and that was the definition of hip hop for a lot of people. And that is what is going on till right now. If you go to see, 90% of the songs in rap and hip hop are about the same thing. From the north, it's the same content. Girls, trucks, cars, I have so much of money, it's the same thing. And that is not what it is in Mumbai. We don't come from a lifestyle like that, and we are as true as it is. We are from the streets, so we talk the languages for the streets. So people like me, like people like Divine and all the other guys, they're trying to change that. So eventually, it's really nice that right now we are getting recognition. But I believe what has happened is, too many people are joining the bandwagon. It's like before, I used to have fans. Now the same fans are rappers and they want me to be their fan. So it's very, it's very. I know it's very ironic. Everyone that you see right now is either a DJ, is either a beatboxer, is either a rapper. Everyone wants to rhyme. Everyone wants to do that. It's a good thing, but again, that takes a toll at the quality. The quality is being hampered, and I think hip hop is a trend, and it is going to be booming in the next 5 years. It is very evident with the movie that is happening on hip hop. That is, I think Gully Boy is happening on hip hop, and I'm sure it will change the landscape of hip hop completely. The challenges that we face again is being an independent artist. I'll tell you my personal. I really do not want to associate with anyone. I am my own manager. I am my own PR. I am my own social media. So if I want to perform at festivals, you have this big, artist management agencies that have their artists already. So since I'm not a part of their roster, I cannot get on. So there is not like, even if you are with, you can't really call yourself independent. I don't know, it's up for debate. Even if you're like, you have someone to fund your video, you have someone to do your social media, you have someone to do your PR, you have someone to sell you, then how can you become independent? Only because you're not with the label does not mean that you're independent. That's what I feel. If you really want to go into the literal sense, most of the people just want to go on the indie bandwagon just to get some rep, because an indie musician will always get that hardcore rep more than someone on a label. That's what. The most of the people are in it for doing that, but you have to understand what indie really means. Once you do that, I think it will really be nice.
I think with the Indian metal scene, our first problem is, I got a list of like about 100 problems that we have. I think the biggest issue metal has always faced is that it's still been a phase for a lot of people in this country. It's almost like, kids in college, they're angry, they're doing engineering, their parents are going to force them to marry someone of their choice after engineering. They're struggling to get through their whatever thing they do in engineering, those drawings and all that. And they get into metal, and they're like, they use it for those 4-5 years of engineering, and then most of them sort of grow out of it. For me, that is one of the biggest problems with the metal scene, is the fact that it's a phase, or it's a sort of trendy thing to latch on to for a certain amount of time. But thankfully, that is something that is changing slowly. And I think when that change happens, that people continue listening to the music even after their college years, they embrace it as a lifestyle more than just entertainment source in their college years. I think then a lot of things for metal will change. Apart from that, of course, metal being the kind of music it is, getting venues to kind of open up to doing metal shows is another thing that we face. I think it's also in terms of when you have to do a whole band show, versus like just hiring a DJ or something. It's a much, I think, economical thing, which is why you see that boom in the EDM scene. Of course, it's also easier to listen to. But yeah, I think the metal scene has a few problems, but I guess it's hopefully on its way to betterment in the next 10 years or 50 or 100 at least. I don't know if I've seen anyone do anything. I've seen kids come and act like, yo, I fucking love metal, man, and they'll name some stupid bands which are not even like there, but nothing too drastic. I
think it's a monkey see, monkey do kind of thing that really goes on in either thing. You in order to understand what you're actually doing, it takes a lot of time, and as you said, most of the people don't have the patience or the perseverance to actually get to that point, and that's why it's right. It's more or less just like, it's a trend, it's a wave. You want to ride that wave, be cool, okay, fine. Before you know, responsibilities on your head. Oh, you can't make money of this anymore, so it's back to 9 to 5. It's like that.
I haven't really ever had anyone come and tell me that rock and metal are the same. I think, I have never had anyone come and tell me that. But if somebody did tell me that, I'd say, okay, why don't you listen to, Aerosmith and then listen to Cannibal Corpse after that and tell me if it sounds the same to you. And if it does, then I'm just going to let them listen to whatever it is they like to listen to.